Hi everyone, I'm Deanne from Newfoundland, Canada. Welcome to my Flosstube channel, Stitching on the Rock. We are at episode 78. I found my 7, or 1. It's July 27th, and I know that because it's a special day in my life, and I'm going to tell you about it in a minute. But first, I'm going to welcome you all to my channel. If you're a new subscriber, thanks for doing that. If you're new and checking me out, please subscribe, and welcome back to everyone else. How about you like the video? That'll help me out a bit. Yeah, July 27th. Indulge me for like 2 minutes for a story, because this was my due date when I was pregnant with my son. And you know, no, I don't know anyone that goes on their due date. But at about 2 a.m. in the morning on the 27th, I woke up and felt wet, and I elbowed my husband at the time, Aaron's dad, and said, I think I just broke, my water just broke. And of course he turns over, are you sure you didn't just pee? And of course he got a bigger elbow then. And I said, no, I did not. And we didn't have a car at the time. We had just moved back to Newfoundland from Nova Scotia. He had just started a job selling cars. That's what he did when we were at Nova Scotia. But he was in his trial period, so he didn't have a work vehicle yet. And we didn't have a car because he had a work vehicle in Nova Scotia, so we didn't own one. I didn't drive at the time. And so at 2 a.m. I started calling my parents' house and both my sister's houses over and over. And we had called the hospital before I started calling them, and they said, yes, if your water broke, you should come in. Eventually, we got a hold of my eldest sister and said, woke her and her husband up and said, I have to go to the hospital. And they had just bought a brand new car the week before. When she had her twins, she had a C-section, so she didn't know what water breaking meant. So she sent her husband in the truck that they pulled their fifth-wheeler in. So here I am, 9 months pregnant, trying to climb up into this great big huge truck to drive to the hospital. And when we got there, they sent us to the maternity ward, and they hooked me up on all monitors and all this stuff, checking. Said they weren't going to check my cervix net because water broke, possible infection, so they want to hold off on doing that for as long as they can. No labor. I had breakfast, I had lunch. About 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I guess I started to feel labor pains. Excuse me. But I still was in the room and had my supper and all that. So about 7 or 8 o'clock, it was getting so painful. I'm like, you have to get someone to come. So they come in and, look at me and I guess look at how my contractions were going. She said, yeah, we'll check you now. You're probably about 2 centimeters. And I'm like, oh my God, if this is 2 centimeters, I'm going to die before I get this baby out. I was 7 centimeters when they checked me. So I went up to labor and delivery. And about 10 o'clock in the evening of the 27th, labor started really intensely. And as we were getting closer and closer to midnight, they were joking have you registered at Sears? Because back then at Sears, when you made purchases in the baby department, you could register your receipts, and if the baby was born on the due date, then you got a refund of what you had purchased. And I was like, no, I haven't done that. So he was actually born at 12:06 a.m. So tomorrow is his 18th birthday. And, but yeah, that's how I will never forget July 27th. And thanks for listening to that little story. Now, I know what you're all here for, stitching, but just as a little recap of our recent life, it's pretty much the same boring life that we always have. Work, no school for Aaron, but he's been doing Special Olympics, 2 different programs with Special Olympics, and his Challenger baseball got canceled yesterday because we actually had a little bit of rain yesterday, which we desperately need. It's still mid to low 20s most days. We registered him for a program for the fall with the Autism Society. It opened, I think, Thursday before last. And last Tuesday, I think they closed it because they had gotten 26 applicants for 9 spots. So keep Aaron in your thoughts and prayers that he gets in. They're going to do little interviews, I think, with all of the applicants and then choose their 9. I really want him to get in because if he doesn't, then we're going to try and figure out something else. And I don't know what else there is. Yeah, I guess that's it. I won't mention that the Blue Jays have the best record in the MLB and that they are 6 games ahead of the Yankees, but I'm a happy person. Okay, on to the stitching. Water first. So I've got lots of stitching to show. A little bit of progress on a lot of different whips because I did a challenge with Whip Warriors that was Whip Frenzy last weekend, and so it was to stitch 100 to 200 stitches on as many whips as you could. I got stitching on 11. I had to frog 1, so I think I might have 10 things to show you. Last weekend was the Midsummer Stitch that Lindy Stitches puts on the virtual retreat. If you haven't done one, I really recommend it. It's a blast. You know, here in Newfoundland, it's very expensive to get off this island to go to a retreat. Plus, I can't see spending all that money to go away for a weekend and not have Aaron go with me. Like, that's mom guilt, but it's guilt. So I don't get to go to in-person retreats, so this is as close as I get, and the ladies are all so lovely. I talked to ladies from Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, Wales, England, all across Canada, some across the US. They're all so nice, and if you don't get to a retreat, it's nice to have that chat with someone who actually appreciates your hobby. Like my family says, oh yeah, that's nice. What are you going to do with it? Whereas these ladies are like, oh, it's so nice, you know, enjoy it. You know, who cares what you do with it as long as you love it. So I highly recommend it. I'm going to link Lindy Stitches below. They have a harvest one coming up. I think it's the 3rd week in September. So if you ever thought about it, and you don't even have to talk if you don't want, you can sit in the room, camera off, mic off, and just listen to everybody else chat about stitching. Not sure I know why you would do that, but it's your choice, you know. I'm not going to hold it against you. And then, our local stitchy group was a lot of fun, and we did a little pass the stash kind of thing, so I got some stuff to show you from that. And I think, yeah. And my whips, and an FFO, and an FO. So, like, busy day. So first up, my FFO. Picked up from the framer yesterday. Oh, sorry about the glare. I use regular glass. It's Mini Sunflowers by Marion Broom for Heaven and Earth Designs. It was stitched 1/1 on 25 count daffodil. And the mats, I think, did great. I didn't want yellow. I'm not a yellow fan, even though I love sunflowers. But green and like a dark burgundy kind of color, burgundy brown that matches the center of the sunflowers. And the plain black frame is the same frame as my iris that she did for. So that is, now I gotta figure out where it's gonna go so I can look at it every day. Or I may just stick it up here with my sunflower display until I can figure out where it's going to go. There. No, over there. It was there for a month, which was because I dropped it off the first Saturday we had our stitching day, and I picked it up a month later, which is hard, but there's only one lady who works there, and she does everything. So I can't complain. Price is well worth it. because I know I chatted with you guys about, I heard the bells on my last video and how I went to Michael's, and she wasn't very helpful. I took it to our other Michael's, and the two guys there, one of them didn't even look any older than Aaron, and another gentleman who was an age between the two of us. They were so nice, so helpful. They tried everything they could to get it to work. They did get a frame that was half price. I'm going to have an inch on each side, which is a little wider than I wanted, but that was the minimum size I could get for that frame. However, it's going to cost me, with no glass and no mats, the same price that cost me, which blows me away. But the lady who does my framing has maybe, I don't know, a dozen or so frames. I would say 6 of them are black, 4 of them are brown, and a silver and a gold. And that's all she offers for frames, which is disappointing because, you know, I would go, for her prices, I would go and get everything framed there. But if I want a colored frame, I can't. It's too bad. Because I would support her, because like I said, I mean, I understand that it took a long time because she's the only person who works there and she had to order in supplies and all of that. But, you know, the prices are unbelievable. Anyway, that's enough about my framing. My FO is October 31st by Cottage Garden Samplings, part of A Time for All Seasons series. And it is stitched 2/1 on 36 count Winter Moon that I then re-dyed with Rit Dye, Tan, Pearl Gray, and Navy Blue. And it looks awesome. So this is the 3rd one in the series. The 4th one, I think my last video I said September, but it's actually the last start in August, which is snow time. And then I have to figure out what I'm going to do. I want to do something where I can alternate them for the seasons. But that is done. So that is finish number, I want to say 12, maybe 13 for the year out of 31 starts. So not too bad. Not too bad at all. Okay, next up are my whips. And like I said, very little progress, but I touched 10. My temperature chart is what I touched that I had to frog, and it's in timeout again. I just have to sit down in the daylight, in the sun, you know, when it's nice and bright, and figure out what. I know I screwed up. I interposed, I think that's the word, like a high for a low, but that really shouldn't have made an error with my stitching on the next little shoot, ray, arm, whatever you want to call it, the next week's. But I know what I'm doing wrong, and what I have to stop doing is the little white stitches that she calls explosion marks. I usually have been stitching like a week or two's worth of temperatures and then going back and filling them in. But I need to fill them in as I go because my spacing has been off a couple of times, and that's the reason why. Because there's those white stitches in between, and I've been missing them or miscounting because of them. But I get back at it this week and figure it out. Okay, so the first that I have to show you in my whips is Seasons in Chalk Spring by Kathy Haberman and Priscilla Blaine. And this is from a Just Cross Stitch April 2016. And I'm stitching it 2/2 on 28 count Monaco that I dyed with charcoal dye, and here is where we are right now. So I finished the P in my stitching and just made a small start right here on the R, and hopefully I'm going to get some stitching done in August. Whip Warriors has a challenge in August called Arbitrary August, and you had to come up with 31 prompts for your whips. Either you had 31 whips that you wanted to work on, or you had like 10 and you repeated different prompts for them. And one of the administrators is going to spin a wheel every day, and it will tell you which prompt to stitch on that day. goal is to finish all of your prompts. I'm not sure it's going to happen. I'm away for 2 days in August at a friend's cabin and summer home, mansion, whatever you want to call it. And so I may take one with me for those 2 days. But you can go back if you like complete a prompt early in the day and you have a prompt that was previous that you didn't get completed, you can go back and complete it. So we'll see how it goes. I had 29 or 30 whips. I can't remember if it was 29 or 30. So I only repeated, I think, once. That'll be fun. Anyway, next up is my Anna Green Gables. I printed off the cover sheet again. This is from MIYAstitch, MIYAstitch on Etsy. And I am stitching it 2/2 on French Country Mocha linen. And here's where we are. And so what I did was I finished this side of the hat. So this side is all done to where the braid is. That one won't take long. I just need to sit down, obviously, and stitch on it. And then we have Sunflower Bouquet. And this was, I saw someone stitch on Instagram and reached out to local friends, and my friend Patty, who's 4 boys and an NL girl, had it, and she copied it for me. It is from the Cross Stitch and Country Cross August 1992 magazine. And the only thing I'm making a couple of changes with it. I should say not the only thing. I am taking out the words. And then, so the bottom border is going to be moved up to kind of where that satin stitch border is. So it's going to be moved up to just under the flowers. That satin stitch border will come out. And then the centers of the flowers, and I don't know if you can even tell, they're done with tent stitches and spinner crosses, I think. And so I'm just doing regular cross stitches, not doing the specialty stitches in the center. So here is where we are with it. And you can see through it. I've got to get one of those boards one of these days. I'm going to remember to do it. So I'm basically working on this sunflower here and some of the leaves around it. And all the alphabet is done. And I have to bring over the satin stitch border to the edge. Just haven't gotten back to doing that. There is where we are. And then we have, that's 2/2 on like a natural linen 28 count. Then we have Always Remember by Plum Street Samplers. And I'm Canadianizing this pattern. So I'm taking out the 3 eagles. 2 of the eagles, this one and this one will be replaced with poppies when I figure out which one's working in the space. This one is going. I've added a Canadian flag instead of an American flag. And I'm thinking strongly about replacing the words from We Will Always Remember to In Flanders Fields. Haven't 100% decided. I have to find an alphabet I like that is not just, straight line one, something a little bit fancier. And I have to chart it and figure out if I can fit it in the space. We will see. So this is stitched 1/2 on 36 count, just blue-gray, I think it was called, or something like that. Here is where we are. So since you saw it last, I put the center in this flower down here, and the center in that flower, and I worked on some of the house a little bit. Next we have 'Tis the Season by Blackbird Design. Excuse me for 1 second. I had to turn my fan off. I tried doing this and my fan is right in front of me on the desk, and it was blowing the fabric back and forth, so I had turned off, so I'm finding it a little warm. So, 'Tis the Season by Blackbird Design from the Home for the Holidays book. It was my birthday start this year, and it's here, and it is one of my all-time favorite designs. Can't wait to get it done and framed, and that one will be going to the framer, definitely, even if it is only up for 3 weeks. And that was part of the problem with I Heard the Bells, the price I paid for it to be only up on my wall for like 3 weeks of the year. So this is stitched 1/2 on 32 count stone gray, and here is where we are. I have been working on the cardinal, and he is definitely coming in. All I have left to do is his tail, and I love it. I love it. I love it. Love it on this fabric. Love this design. Love it. So when I get the cardinal finished, then I'll work back onto the border. Next up we have Woodland Piece. It seems like this is the Christmas section. Woodland Piece, which is this piece here that was found on Cross Stitch February 23rd, or February 1993, I think it was. I think it's a year after the Sunshine Bouquet. Yeah, 1993. And I am doing this on like a raw natural linen 28 count 2/2 using DMC 115. So here is where we are. The top section is on. Let me fold it up so I can. The top section is complete, except I have a mistake. And I did not realize I had a mistake until I was starting to do this line here at the bottom. And the mistake is this tree, there should be 2 single stitches up here, which would mean that this is should be 1 stitch shorter, but I am not going to take it out until I am done. It does not affect anything else in the whole piece, so I'm going to complete the piece, and then I will come back and frog out that tree and restitch it. But it doesn't really, you don't really notice it, except for the fact that this tree is supposed to be exactly the same as that tree. So you can see that the trunk is longer on this one than it is on that one. So I will go back and fix it when I get everything else on the piece stitched. So I'm ready to start I'm ready now to start the word section. So this should go pretty quickly. Words go really quickly. Next up we have Spring Dream Sampler by Studio HMP on Etsy. This one is so adorable. It's done 1/1 on 28 count, and here is where we are. So I have finished the border across the top, so that is the width of the piece, and then I started coming down the side with the border, and I think I will do the complete border before I get into the center section. And it's done 1/1 on 28 count taupe. Ivory, taupe. Taupe. It is taupe. It's hard to tell sometimes between taupe and ivory. Yeah, so really, really cute. And that is everything that you've seen previously. I'm pretty sure that's everything you've seen previously. So, since my last video, I have had 2 starts. First one is Partridge and Pear by Pidgeon Coop Designs. Just an adorable pattern. I have got a big start because last week was busy, but I have started it. I am stitching it 2 over 2 on 28 count even weave, and here we are. So I have his, I have his wing done, and I have started on his head, and that's all I've gotten done. I should get some more done easily next week. So it was cute and easy to stitch and not difficult. And then this past Wednesday, I started Canadian Tier by Erin Elizabeth Designs, and so much fun to stitch, and stitching so quickly. Like, I've spent like 3 days on it, and I'm already on the second tier. So it is done 2 over 2 on 28 taupe, and the needle that's in the corner I'm going to talk about later. So here we are. It will not take long to complete this. So the Mountie is done, the sign with home is done, the skate is done, except I have 1 row of 414 for the blade, finish the blade to stitch. The snowshoe is done, the paddle is done, and I'm working on the mountain over on this side. So like very, very quick stitch. So that's that one. And that is all my whips that I have worked on, and I'm just going to show you, actually I should show you the next 2 starts, because I have 2 more starts in July. Just grab the other one and pull it out. So first up, tomorrow for Erin's birthday, I am doing an extra start because I need to do 3 extra starts, and it is going to be the North American house hippo. And if you're Canadian, you know. It is from Fondly. Oh, shoot. Oh, 1 second, I gotta find out what the name is. Sorry about that. It's by Fondly Made. Fawndly. Fondly Made on Etsy. I'm not sure if they're still there or not, but if you're interested, I'll link them below. And I am stitching it on, I think it's, oh, my thread is 32 count Peppermint Knob by Bren and Nettle. And I just love it. And I'm doing the hippo in one of their threads called Old Harry, which is a variegated gray. And then the words, I decided to do in this one, which is called Cheers, My Dear. Thought that color looked nice against that. So that will be started tomorrow. And the way I decided to do this, like when my birthday came around and I had a new start, was I'm still doing my Wednesday to Tuesday on the Canadian Tier tray. I'll start this on Monday and it will go till Sunday. And then the Wednesday in between, I will start my next Wednesday and it will go. So the 3 of them will kind of overlap for a few days. Or 2 will overlap and then the other 2 will overlap, if that makes sense at all. So on Wednesday coming, which is the 30th, I am starting from Cross Stitch and Needlework March 2014 from by, let me see, the designer is Stitchy Kitty. I am doing a snail's garden, which I thought was just a fun summer design, and I am stitching it on an unknown piece that was in my stash, and it's like a blue-gray, blue-white, skyy kind of looking, so I think that will be fun. So that's everything stitchy me related, except that now I'm going to show you my August starts. So I have to just move all of these aside, sorry. And grab my August starts on this side here. Okay. Now, the first one on August the 6th, with the right bag, I am starting Chubby Bunny that a very, very generous friend sent to me from Jeanette Douglas. Oh, here. And I am stitching it on 36 count raw natural linen, which is I think the called for. And I am using all of the called for threads. Ooh. A couple of which I had, and a couple more I had to order. Let me give you a list to make sure I get them all right. So we have Weeks Dye Works Whiskey. We have Weeks Dye Works Chestnut. We have Weeks Dye Works Plum. We have Weeks Dye Works Whitewash. And we have Weeks Dye Works Mulberry, which I had, and hopefully we'll have enough to finish it. And then we have Classic Colorworks Hickory Sticks. Classic Colorworks Pine Needles. And Classic Colorworks Weeping Willow. So that should be fun. I love Jeanette's designs. And it's nice and small. Hopefully it'll be a quick finish. Then we have on August the 13th. Oh, sorry, zipper. Oh, I just closed it. We have Happy Halloween by Primrose Cottage, which was the very first Primrose Cottage I ever bought and just never got around to starting it. And it is going to be started on 28 count, and this is taupe as well, which I think is pretty close to what it calls for. And I am using the called for threads, which are Weeks Dye Works Persimmon, Weeks Dye Works Onyx, and Weeks Dye Works Parchment. So that one. On August the 20th, I am doing Lizzie Kate's Good Things, which says good things come to those who stitch, and I stitched this as an exchange piece years and years ago, and I've always wanted to stitch it for myself, and of course never got around to it. But I am stitching it on an unknown green fabric that was in my stash, but I think it looks really close to what it is, and I am just using, oh no, I'm using the called for, sorry, but I was using DMC, that's how much I pay attention. Weeks Dye Works Rose Quartz, Weeks Dye Works Honeysuckle, and Weeks Dye Works Cranberry Ice. And then we have Gentle Arts Shutter Green, and Gentle Arts Freedom, and Gentle Arts Red Crepe, which I had in my stash, so I'm sure I have enough. So that's on the 20th. Then on the 27th, as I said, I am starting Snow Time, which is the last one in the Time for All Seasons series that I am stitching, my winter piece. And it is going to be stitched on Winter Moon that I have to dye, and maybe I can talk someone into coming helping me film dyeing it. We'll see. And the only specialty thread is chalk. And those are going to be my August starts. Then finally we have purchases / I guess, rakes on your stash exchanges or whatever you want to call it. Purchases from the Midsummer Stitch. I purchased one of the exclusive pieces, and then I purchased a piece that I have wanted to stitch forever and have watched a Flosstuber stitch, and it was there on the list of PDFs to purchase, so decided I was going to purchase. So first up, my exclusive that I've purchased was Summer's Day by Jed X Stitch, and just thought that the pink fabric is what called me. They were all moth themed. That seems to be a popular theme in the summer, but just the Tiny Modernist one was really cute. The Sprouting Lupine one was really cute, but the pink fabric kind of got me for this one. So it is going to be a start for next year. Maybe I'm kind of building up my stash of patterns again after clearing it out with this year's 55 starts. So the other pattern I purchased last weekend at Midsummer Stitch was White Winter Moth by Kathy Barrick. I've seen this around for a little while, but the one that really drew me to it, or the person I saw stitching that really drew it to me, was Jacinta on Crafting on the Plains. She finished it not that long ago, and I really loved what her design and her choices. And so when I saw it on the list of PDF purchases there, I clicked and got it. Another start for next year, hopefully. My friend Michelle sent me a picture of someone who had completed it, not on this yellowy fabric. I don't know which one it is. I didn't look, but on not a rusty red, a warm red, like an orangey red, and I really liked the way it looked. So maybe a plan for a dye job next year. We will see. So like I said, then yesterday at our stitchy get together here at the library. Oh, and that reminds me, I have to find something. Some people bought patterns and magazines and project bags and all that stuff they didn't want anymore. So we kind of went through and picked out what we wanted and stuff like that. So I was late getting there, like I said, so I'm not sure, but I think these patterns came from Pam, who is Pam's Crafty Corner. If it didn't come from Pam, it came from somebody else. I'm sorry. But I pulled out Lizzie Kate's yearbook, this one, which is the March and April. Now, you can do them all along, and I may go looking for the others, but if not, like, these could be smalls or pillows or whatever. And then I picked out Hey Pumpkin, which is from Fat Quarter Shop. It's It's So Emma pattern, which I thought was a cute little one that would make a pumpkin. And I pulled out from Shepherd's Bush, Love Is, which I thought was really pretty. Doesn't have the buttons, but that's okay. And I'm not sure that I will stitch the words. I may just stitch the flowers and the little border at the bottom and leave out the words. We'll see. I haven't decided. So that was that. And then Patty was there for Boys and a Little Girl, who's also from Brennan Nettle. And she had some threads that we could pull some from, so I picked those two purples. No names on them, which I was kind of disappointed in. I love their names, but they're both really pretty purples, and purple is my favorite color. So I said, I'm going to pull that. And then when I was showing you this little needle, Jillian gave us all, or most of us, she didn't have enough, but she said she'd bring back these needles. They're pony needles, and they're black and white, which is great for me, who's famous for dropping my needles. Now, if they were bright orange or something, I would like them even better, but I didn't try it yet. But she said they were nice needles, so I'm looking forward to giving that a whirl. And that, I think, is everything that I have to say. Wow, I talked for a long time. For me, For those of you who are not new, you know I don't ramble. I'm a facts and figures. Here it is, take it or leave it. I'm trying to talk a little bit more, make my videos a little bit longer. If you have any suggestions of anything you want me to talk about, I know people have said, oh, they'd like to hear more about Newfoundland. But I got to remember to look some stuff up and tell you, but I will. I'll tell you something about St. John's in particular, where I live. Well, this year we have a holiday the first week of August. Most provinces in Canada have a civic holiday, or cities in Canada have a civic holiday on the first Monday in August, just to have a holiday in August. We do not. We have a holiday on the first Wednesday in August. Maybe. That's where the story comes in. For those of you who don't know St. John's, we have, and several other communities in the province have, an annual regatta. It's a boat racing regatta. For those of you who don't know what that is, on the first Wednesday in August. It's 100-year-old event, at least. And it falls, like I said, on the first Wednesday in August. And the city of St. John's has a civic holiday. Except when we don't. Because boat races require good weather. And we live in St. John's. It's foggy and windy and rainy and all kinds of weather in St. John's. So at about 6 o'clock in the morning, everybody who works in St. John's wakes up to listen to the radio to find out if they get to go back to bed or they go to work, depending on if it's too windy or it's raining and the boats can't. People, the boat races are dangerous or not. And if the weather is bad, we all go back to bed. And then we all wake up at 6 o'clock on Thursday to find out if we have a holiday or not. It's gone. Like, it's been moved forward 3 or 4 days. And it's happened in the past that it could be Friday or Saturday before boat races occur. Of course, if it's on Saturday, you don't get a holiday anyway, because most people are off on Saturday anyway. But over the years, the city of St. John's and the city of Mount Pearl have grown in size so that they kind of, unless you live here and know where one starts and the other one ends, you wouldn't know. They're kind of like Halifax and Dartmouth and more cities that have kind of grown into one another. But it's not a civic holiday in Mount Pearl. So if you're in St. John's and you have the family over for supper on Regatta Day for a barbecue and you're like, oh, we just ran out of barbecue sauce, you get in your car and you drive for 10 minutes to Mount Pearl and you go to the supermarket and get your barbecue sauce. Yeah. Anyway, so that's my little Newfoundland story for today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Happy stitching. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye.